Okay, so here it is, the Osprey Kestrel 48. So it is what it is. It is a rucksack, as you'd expect. It's got Osprey's very, very tried and tested ventilated system, so it's very comfortable, distributes very well on the waist. On this one, you've got the two waist pockets, which is quite good. Decent strap, adjustments on both sides, so you can always kind of keep the connections in the middle or to one side, whichever is your favoured. You've also got the adjustable booby straps up here, so you can slide them up and down as you desire. Hydration bag in there, so this bag's compatible with allowing the tube to come out from somewhere on here. Let's have a look. Where does that come from? Well, it actually fits down the back. There we go. So decent stash down the back there for a hydration pack. That might be a game changer for me because I've never really got on with them. I've got a camelback one, which I use for my running. I still use it, so I do get on with it in that regard. The only thing is I dread to take it all apart and see how gunky it is. I flushed a load of really hot water through it and it's still not great, but I reckon just a bladder to go in the back of here could work quite well. So I'll think about that. Two really good stretchy pouches on the side. As you'd expect, they are ideal for bottles, so I'm going to have my 2-litre bottles there. Also, one thing I didn't notice was you've also got a zip down the side of each one, so if you're one of those people like me and you pack your bag in layers, you'll be able to sort of dip in and take stuff out as you need it, rather than having to take all of your kit out to find something else that you know is lower down in your bag. It's a really good feature, that. So yeah, same on the other side. Tons of adjustments as well. I'll just undo the top a sec. You've also got down here, got a front pouch, which is elasticated. So like I said, tons of adjustment. On the bottom, much like a lot of other bags, you'll find it does have a lower storage compartment, which I have now been able to get my sleeping bag into, so that's great. On the bottom, again, you've got the Osprey rain cover in green, which is quite nice. That stashes away. These bags do love the dog hairs, so Molly, who comes to stay with us quite a bit recently, as her mummy works for the NHS, so we look after her quite a lot. Yes, she's great to have around, but her hairs manage to catch everything, so they do stick to the bottom of these bags. Bless her. So yeah, moving on to the actual main body then. So with the exception of the sort of bottom sleeping bag bit that I'm going to be using, there is a flap that kind of secures that bit off from the rest of the bag, and you can just sort of strap that down, or you can leave it open if you want to. So good thing about the length of the bag is it's long enough to accommodate my tent poles, which is fantastic. I haven't changed my tent yet. That's going to be another saga in itself, but I have figured out a way to make it a little bit lighter and more compact, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. You've got the fittings for your hiking poles. That's another thing that I might be getting hold of at some point, especially if I look at getting a tent like the Lanshan, or one of the other sort of poles that use the tents that use trekking poles. Other features inside, once you've got all your kit in there, you can sort of clip it down, and then really good. I love the sort of pull cords on these Osprey bags because they're great. You've got some proper purchase on a little tab there, just pull it tight. Inside the top pouch then, much like on the Hyperlite 32, you've got just a little sort of net stash bag. So that's where I'm going to keep actually my my gloves, my hat, and my gaiters, maybe a couple of other bits. And on the top, you've also got the storage in the lid there, which is probably going to be where I keep things like my food. Lots of little features where you can clip things on. Really good bag, and yeah, I'm super impressed with Osprey, and really happy to have a day sack option, and I would say maybe not a lightweight but a fairly compact wild camping overnight bag as well. I'll still have my Sherpa 65 for if I need to take my full camera setup, but I think on days where I'm going to be doing a wild camp, a simple GoPro should be enough to keep you going. Yeah, so that's the bag. We'll start looking at my kit as well, and where in the bag it lives. This is still the Black's Quad 2 sleeping bag. It does look very big, and it is, but this is in a dry bag. I managed to squeeze loads of air out of it and get it in here, so it's nice and waterproof. But the good thing is already you can see that's shaped like the base of my bag. So we're just going to get that one in there. And just literally sort of stuff it in so it really fills the bottom of the bag. And then what I've got inside this as well, like I said, there's that pouch that stashes off the bottom part of your rucksack and sort of straps in. So I'm going to use that, but also to go in there as well, I have my my inflatable bed mat. So that stashes in there too. And as it's heavier, I'm going to pack it so it's closer to my spine. Okay, so next part. But I managed to get my tent into a little Sea to Summit dry bag. Now, the dry bags that I've got, I picked up from an army surplus store. This little dry bag had roast beef. This little dry bag cost £2.75, and the one that I've got my sleeping bag in I think cost something like £3. So you can really pick up some savings by going into these army surplus stores. And also, like for things like base layers, I mean, this is a British Army, it's actually sort of thermal underwear, so it's got a, you know, like a naturally warm wicking material, and this is going to be my layer that I chuck on when I finished with my day. I wanted to sort of dry off some of my kit. I chuck this on, and then I chuck like either like a down jacket or a puff, you know, sort of puffy layer, and this will keep me warm then through the night. And this costs £3. You'd be looking at least 20 quid if you was to pick up the brands from Go Outdoors. And don't get me wrong, I love all the stuff that you can get, but it's really nice to make some savings as well. So army surplus stores, the inside layer, so the inner and the outer fly sheet is compact into this, and this is probably the smallest I've managed to get this stuff, so very pleased with that so far. So the tent's going in there, and remember, like I said, I can unzip this from the side, so if I want to get it out in a different order, it's purely up to me how I want to tent poles in. Now these are fiberglass ones, so again, they're not the lightest, but obviously they come with this tent, so until I make up my mind what tent I'm going to have, they go with me. And like I said, they managed to fit the length of the bag just right. Nothing poking out or knocking the bag out of shape. So boxer shorts, pair of socks, a warm layer, and like I said, a base layer here. I will be chucking some trousers in there as well, some lightweight walking trousers. I was even thinking about taking like some pajama bottoms that you just chuck on when you're in your sleeping bag or when you're at the end of the day, but for now it's just going to go in as it is. I've got my Coleman Firestorm in here, packed away in this canvas bag, which is actually a toiletry gift set bag from a couple of Christmases ago. But before it housed this stove, it housed my Swedish Army issue Trangia stove, so this seems to fit as well. Got my titanium spork in there as well, so that's the Coleman Firestorm stove. What I am going to do is chuck my waterproofs inside the top of the bag, because already I've managed to get a good chunk of everything that I would take with me inside there. So that's the waterproof trousers. They're just a pair of regatta trousers. This is my Helly Hansen jacket. It uses the Helitech waterproof system, and I have to be honest, this is probably the best waterproof jacket that I've had, and I think I might have mentioned it in another video, but I picked this up in a charity shop for like £8. So really happy to pick up this jacket. It's in my sort of favoured military looking green, even if it does have bright yellow toggles on it and that. But yeah, cracking rain jacket. So chuffed with that. So that's just going to go in the top as well too. And you can see already that I've still got a bit of room. So next in the kit is going to be my sit mat. I'm just going to stash that away inside the main body. My first aid kit is going to go on the inside part of the hood. So I'm going to stash that bit in there so it's out of the way, along with mosquito net. Also some Factor 50 sun cream and some insect repellent. Most importantly for Dartmoor, that it's effective against ticks. So I've got that there. Also going to put my head torch in there as well. So already you can see I'm stashing quite a bit in this little hood pocket. Also I'm going to stash my shit bag stuff in there. So that's just some doggy bags and some wet wipes. So that's going to be going. Might put that in there too. So that's managed to fit in there as well. These little compartments are great for stuff that, if you know where they are, you'll be able to get it relatively easy. Okay, so that's the actual body of the bag filled, and then we're just going to pull the top together. If you did see my video on my kit from my wild camp the other week, you would have noticed that one thing that's missing from the sleep system is the the luxury pillow. As much as I love a pillow, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be taking one of the dry bags, stuffing my coat, my clothes and everything in it, and just sort of slumming it. So I'm not really too prepared to carry all that. So the next thing to go in my bag is going to be my map and my compass, and that's going to live right there in that front stash pouch. It's something that I've got to use more. I can't just rely on my Garmin all the time. It's very lazy of me. I've then got, let's have a look, my rations, which are going to include a lighter, just in case I have a problem with the ignition on my Coleman Firestorm, or any other stove for that matter. So I've got 2 boil in the bag meals, and I've got a load of brew kit in there. So it's not all the food I'll take, but that's going to be the main chunk of my meals, and that's going in that top pouch on top of the bag there. Also going in there, changed my mind because I put the other bits on the inside. I'm going to have my hat, my gaiters, and my seal skins or gloves going in the top too. So that's all packed away. Next going in that top pouch is going to be my tent pegs. So just quickly, the tent pegs that I picked up today are the OEX aluminium tent pegs. Now you get 6 in a bag. I've got 2 packs because I need about 12 pegs for my entire tent. But it's nice and light, good quality. So the tent pegs are going in there as well. So I've got them ready to go, and I know where they are. They're good and available. So I'm just going to do that top pouch up now, as it's nice and full. Okay, so this bag is looking pretty stacked now, isn't it? So all that I've really got left to consider is my cup, which funnily enough, what I'm going to be doing with that is I've got a litre bottle of water that actually happens to sit in the cup, and that's going to be stashed in the side pocket down there with a bottle sticking out of it. So it's using a little bit of the same space. On the hip pocket, a little hip pouch, I'm going to keep my, you've probably seen hundreds of these if you watch these outdoor videos, but my little Opinel 7 knife. So just remember with this one, it is quite sharp. If you are using it, there is a little locking mechanism to lock it temporarily when you're using it, so it's nice and sort of solid and you can't accidentally close it on yourself. Always remember, when you do go to close it, make sure your fingers are out the way, especially if you're closing it one-handed like me, like an idiot. Ideally you'd be doing that with 2 hands, but then I also keep it in a little bag. So that's going in the little side pouch, and so is my battery pack and my battery lead. The other one's going to be free for snacks. And also, one last thing, most important thing is the gash bag, and that's going in here with my map. So all good to go, all set up. Osprey Kestrel 48, bargain.